At 3:17 a.m., a scream of metal against metal tore me from sleep, my heart slamming against my ribs like a caged animal. Outside my warehouse, the world was a black void, but the unmistakable crunch of gravel under boots sliced through the silence, sharp and deliberate. I lunged for my phone, the security app glowing with a grainy feed. Two figures clad in dark polos were clawing at my side door with a crowbar. Their badges glinted under the floodlight, cheap, tacky things that screamed fake. One hissed, "Keep it quiet, just tag the violations." Violations? On my land? Rage burned through the fog of sleep. These weren't burglars. They were worse petty tyrants drunk on their own imaginary power, playing enforcer for some suburban fantasy. I didn't know whether to laugh or load my rifle. My name's Ethan Caldwell, and I'd bought this warehouse a year ago, a rugged steel fortress on a half-acre of scrubland zone for whatever I pleased agricultural, commercial, or a mix of both. It was my sanctuary, my side hustle's heartbeat, where I rebuilt vintage bikes and stored parts without a soul to answer to. But now, these goons from Willow Creek HOA enforcement thought they could trespass and scribble their nonsense rules on my property. I slipped in my boots, pulse steadying with the cold clarity of someone who's faced worse than clipboard-wielding wannabes. Years of keeping my head in high-stakes deals had taught me one thing: never let them see you flinch. I crept out the back, the night air sharp against my skin, and rounded the corner just as the shorter one muttered, "Flag it for non-compliant fencing, Ando. Look at that drainage ditch, total hazard." They hadn't even stepped inside. They were just making it up, inventing crimes to justify their midnight raid. I flicked on my flashlight, its beam cutting through the dark like a blade, pinning their faces in stark white light. The clipboard guy fumbled his pen, and the other tripped backward, nearly impaling himself on my prickly pear cactus. "This is private property," I said, voice low, each word a warning. "You've got 5 seconds to explain why I shouldn't call the sheriff." The taller one, recovering, puffed himself up like a rooster. "We're Willow Creek HOA Compliance Task Force. Routine inspection." I pointed past them, down the dirt road. "My land's not in your HOA. The boundary's 3 lots that way." The shorter one, still clutching his crowbar like it gave him courage, snapped, "Doesn't matter. Your setup's an eyesore, disrupting community harmony." I couldn't hold back a laugh. My warehouse gray, functional, set back from the road was somehow a threat to their picket fence utopia? I pulled out my phone, snapping photos of their faces, their flimsy badges, and their beat-up sedan with a magnetic HOA enforcement sign peeling at the edges. A burger wrapper fluttered under the wiper, the cherry on their pathetic sundae. "Leave," I said, "or the sheriff's next." They grumbled, scribbled something pointless, and peeled out, their taillights swallowed by the dawn. I thought that'd be the end of it, but I hadn't met Miranda Holt yet. By 7 a.m., as I nursed my second coffee, she stormed up my driveway, a VY shown in a crimson blazer and heels that wobbled on the uneven ground. Her blonde hair was pulled into a bun so tight it looked painful, and she clutched a stack of papers like they were the 10 Commandments. "Mr. Caldwell," she barked, slapping the pile onto my truck's hood. "These are your violations. Your structure's a blight, and we demand immediate remediation." I skimmed the top sheet and nearly choked. Violation: exterior reflective VY tie exceeds HOA standards. I looked at her deadpan. "Miranda, my building's matte gray." She didn't blink. "It's glossy in certain light. Units 12 through 18 report VY Sewell discomfort. It's a safety issue." I leaned back, fighting a grin. "Miranda, I'm not in your HOA. Never was. You've got no jurisdiction here." Her eyes narrowed, undeterred. "Our charter extends oversight to adjacent properties for community cohesion. Section 14.7, Visual Impact Clause." She waved a laminated sheet, the ink still fresh, like she'd printed it that morning. "That's not a law," I said, crossing my arms. "It's barely a sentence." Her cheeks flushed, but she pressed on. "Your warehouse is tanking property values." My cousin was going to buy nearby, but she saw that. She jabbed a manicured finger at my building, and called it a scrap heap. I sipped my coffee, unfazed. Tell her I've got space if she wants to open a chop shop. That cracked her composure. She shrieked about county codes, property aesthetics, and community standards, then stomped off, her heels kicking up dust. I called Sheriff Nate Harper, a no-nonsense guy I'd shared beers with at the county fair. He re-VYE'd my footage, chuckling. HOA enforcement? Those badges look like they came from a vending machine. Miranda tried to interrupt while VYing her papers, but Nate shut her down. This isn't your land, Miranda. One more stunt like this, and it's trespassing charges. She froze, then marched away, promising further action. Nate grinned at me. File a report, or handle your way. I smirked. Give me a week. Let's make this interesting. That's when the war began, not with guns or fists, but with cunning, paper trails, and a touch of chaos. The next morning, my mailbox was stuffed with a binder labeled Urgent HOA Citation. Inside, a laundry list of absurdities. My warehouse's VY Sewell dissonance. My gravel drive's unregulated texture. Even my toolbox's color incongruity with neighborhood palette. One page claimed my building's height caused psychological strain for drivers passing by, complete with a footnote about subconscious aesthetic trauma. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee, then framed the wildest page and hung in my workshop with a caption, "Awarded for creative fiction." I called my lawyer, Jake Brennan, who'd handled the warehouse purchase. He cackled over the phone. They think your land's under their thumb because, what, it's nearby. That's not how deeds work. He drafted a letter, sharp and airtight, citing my property's independence, backed by the original plat and zoning records. I didn't stop there. I printed a 4-foot sign, bold red letters on white. Private property. Not in Willow Creek, HOA. Trespassers prosecuted. I bolted it to my gate, a laminated copy of my deed, mounted below for good measure. Underneath, in smaller print, God bless the free country. Miranda wasn't done. The next day, she showed up with a forced smile, her blazer swapped for a softer blue jacket, like she thought charm would sway me. Ethan, let's be reasonable, she said, voice syrupy. We want harmony, cooperation. Aesthetics matter to everyone. I nodded, playing along. Sure thing. I'm planting scarlet sage along the fence. Bright red. Really pops. Her smile twitched. That's not in our approved palette. I leaned in, grinning. Miranda, this isn't your sandbox. Sheriff said so. My lawyer's saying it louder. She shoved a new paper at me, claiming my land fell under a residential influence zone with some invented supplemental aesthetic mandate. It was a photocopy, half redacted with marker, like a kid hiding a bad report card. I handed it back. Find me a law that trumps my deed, and I'll paint the warehouse pink. 2 days later, new inspectors arrived, same polos, same fake badges, now armed with a decibel meter and neon stickers. They demanded a noise compliance check and asked me to start my welding torch. I obliged, but not with the torch. I cranked a Bluetooth speaker, blasting Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire at full volume. They flinched, scribbled furiously on their clipboards, and scurried back to their SUV, typing on imaginary laptops. I wasn't just pushing back, I was VYing fun. I uploaded the footage to a private cloud, added new infrared cameras to catch any nighttime raids, and backed everything up on a hard drive. If Miranda wanted to play dirty, I'd be ready. Then came an unexpected ally. Clara Monroe, a retiree who lived 2 lots over, showed up with a box of donuts and a grin. Heard your GIVYing Miranda, hell, she said, settling into a lawn chair I offered. Over coffee, she spilled the tea. Half the HOA despised Miranda, but her theatrics scared off dissenters. Clara had seen my speaker stunt online and nearly choked on her tea laughing. Then she dropped a bombshell. Know why she's obsessed with your land? A new highway interchange is coming, half a mile north. Property values are about to soar. She wants your lot under HOA control before you cash in her, before you block her VYEW of the profits. It made sense. Miranda's violations weren't just ego, they were shakedown. Clara handed me a leaked email forwarded by a friend in the HOA. It outlined a property assimilation plan, with my warehouse circled in red, neutralized non-compliant lot before rezoning re-VYEW. They claimed my zoning was ambiguous, which was nonsense. Me permits were ironclad, filed a year ago when I built the place. I thanked Clara, my mind racing. This wasn't just a nuisance anymore. It was a calculated grab. I escalated. I posted a VY Deo online. Miranda's HOA versus my warehouse. The Great Shakedown, splicing footage of the Crowbar Goons, Miranda's rants, and her fake citations. I narrated her VY Soul Trauma Index in a mock-serious tone, letting the absurdity speak for itself. It went VY Row, hitting 600,000 VYUs in days. Comments flooded with HOA horror stories, and neighbors I'd never met emailed support. A local reporter, Sarah Klein, reached out, and soon I was standing by my sign, maps and deeds in hand, for a segment called Warehouse Rebellion. The leaked email aired, and Miranda's community values unraveled on live TV. She fought back, posting on social media about restoring neighborhood integrity and calling my warehouse a symbol of defiance. It backfired spectacularly. Memes exploded, me building in neon colors, captioned "Too free to care." A neighbor, Martha Ellis, dug deeper, uncovering Miranda's HOA budget. Dula $1,500 for executive retreats at a spa, Dula $800 for compliance team uniforms, all billed to residents. The outrage sparked an audit. I hosted a town hall, in VY Ting Press, neighbors, and Sheriff Nate. I handed out packets, deeds, permits, footage, the works. Miranda crashed it, hauling a binder thicker than a phone book, but the crowd wasn't hers anymore. "This isn't your land," someone shouted. Nate took the mic, calm but firm. "Miranda, it's never been your jurisdiction." The room erupted in cheers. The audit gutted her. Shell companies, fake invoices, even a consulting fee to her brother's landscaping firm for unbuilt flower beds. Fraud probes followed. Miranda sold her house and vanished. Her empire of clipboards and blazers reduced to nothing. My warehouse. It became a local legend. I opened it for weekend markets, bike shows, food trucks, live bands. A mural went up on the side. A cartoon Miranda, fleeing in her red blazer, captioned "Freedom Wins." At our first Liberty Fest, we raised a toast not just to my land, but to standing firm, no matter who thinks they own you. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.